You had to it, didn't you? Right, go cut this out. That's all right. Right, then, we're ready?
Wait. Calm.
Spot on. Yeah, I'm good.
Right, then.
Breathe.
Good evening, welcome to the channel. This is the first podcast we're doing, so there's been no preparation or nothing. It could go anyway. We're going to talk fishing for an hour, and hopefully it's going to stay fishing, nothing else, but you never know with these lot. It could end up something totally different. So what I'm going to do now is let everybody introduce themselves, tell you who they are and what they do. So we'll start with Vince on the end.
Yeah, you are people. So I am obviously a fisherman. But yeah, so I do a bit of coaching, guiding, and literally mooching around the whole country, just fishing. That's all I do, just fishing. So living the dream.
Absolutely.
Right, so I'm Kieran, Anglesey Tight Lines, mostly rock fishing, bit of beach fishing, and every now and then when somebody takes me out I get on the boat. Just generally love fishing of any sort.
Key from KMP Outdoors. I'm not actually
He's on a little
I'm not actually the shortest one here. I'm sat on a tackle box. I don't get a chair. Yeah, I lived on Anglesey for it's coming up to 7 years now. Started off coarse fishing and now just love anything sea fishing. I think I had the quickest fishing channel on YouTube to be demonetized from being monetized. About an hour and a half. Yeah.
And on to me.
Yeah.
I am Mike from That to Bite. I've been fishing since I was a little kid. I have a channel called That to Bite. A lot of you will know, but if you don't, you'll soon get to know me. Yeah, I've been fishing from a little kid, starting from a coarse background, and then I discovered the sea, and then I discovered
Meat sweats.
these crazy lot, and yeah, the rest is history.
Right, should we
And
get-
over to you.
Oh,
You've got to introduce
I don't
yourself.
know who this man is.
I'm John, and I'm the owner of this channel that you're watching.
Well, they might be new.
Yeah, you might be. Yeah, I'm the owner of GKJ Fishing. I love fishing. Catch a few things, blank a few times, and enjoy fishing. So
All the time.
All the time. Right, should we get straight into the first thing? What's your favourite fishing moment, Vince? I bet there's many, but
There's like
Keep it clean.
It's hard to pin it down to one specific moment, but I think the most special and important and meaningful one for me was catching a solo, catching a common skate, 100% solo.
yeah.
Up in the Scottish Highlands,
And how
which
big-
is it's something else. It's just such an incredible fish, like such a special fish, prehistoric, just so hard to describe. And it was a case of I'd only been up there 2 or 3 times, and I think it was my second time. I was like, right, I'm going to go and do it all on my own.
And how big was that?
About 100
216 pounds.
206, nearly as big as you, Mike.
Pretty much, yeah. Just £10 short, really.
For your first ever solo, like that's yeah, it's still
yeah.
I think that'll probably always be my PB.
Was
I
that
don't
from
think,
one of the locks or something, was
yeah,
it?
yeah. So that was from
Tell us your
A
spot.
lock.
Tell us your spot. Go on.
Where was it?
Have you got your phone? Just pinpoint it for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you a pin. Yeah, no. So that was from it was close to Oban, but it wasn't the main one that people fish in Oban. But it's a 20-minute drive away.
Yeah.
And it was. So I don't know if you remember. It's about 3 months ago. We had record-breaking winds in the UK. It was a massive,
yeah.
massive storm, and it was like 110, 115, 120
Yeah.
mile an hour wind. That's what I was fishing in, and it wasn't 115 mile an hour exactly where I was, but there's some video clips that I put up of it. Absolutely, like my shell was rattling around. It's absolutely hammering down with rain, and I'm sat there like, what am I doing?
Wow.
What am I doing?
And it happened.
That's pretty
And
much
then-
what I think every time I go fishing. What am I doing?
No.
Regardless of the wind and the weather. What am I doing?
But yeah,
That's some that's a serious catch, that, mate.
that is
That's something I'd like.
You
to
could
do
have ended that
eventually.
question on Vince, yeah. Because all ours are going to look shite now.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got How long did that take to get in?
So not as long as you'd imagine. So I had caught one earlier in that trip, which was a £158 male,
Yeah.
But was from I don't mind saying where that one was. That was Loch Allen, or what most people call Loch Allen. But it's actually, if you're Scottish,
that place broke me. Yeah.
if you're Scottish, it's Loch Allen. That's how they say it. So that's kind of yeah. So I'd caught one 158-pound male from there, and it's so vastly different because if you've got a sensible, if you can hit an 8-ounce lead and a probably a 7-8 ounce bait out into the middle of Loch Allen, you're fishing in 300+ foot of water.
Wow.
And so what you've got to do, you can't just cast out and just kind of let things happen like whereas you would on a beach.
Yeah.
You've got to peel line off as quick as you possibly can.
Got to let it sink.
Because by the time you've got your leads hit the water, and if you're not peeling line off, because it takes 3 to 5 minutes for it to hit the bottom.
Wow.
So what happens, you're fishing a lot which is
spilled a
V-shaped or
535 on it.
U-shaped.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is peel it off. Otherwise, because of the amount of time, it just ends up
In front of you.
straight at front of you. So
Wow.
you've got to peel line off, peel line off, peel line off, just keep going. That one took me just shy of 2 hours.
Wow.
And there is some videos on my Facebook page of it, and I've got the butt of my rod there, and I'm literally hanging on it. The rod is like buckled over. So yeah, between 90 minutes and 2 hours on that one.
Wow.
And the 216, much shallower mark, and that was about 40 minutes.
Wow. What's your
So-
Facebook channel page called? In case
It's
anybody
just
wants
my
to see-
name, Vince Knight.
Vince Knight.
Yeah, I do have one for like the guiding stuff, which I don't really post much on, which was specialist fishing guide, but I don't really post much on it. So if anyone wants to know what I do and see what I do, just look up Vince Knight.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Kieran, what's your most specialist moment sea fishing?
Well, there's, like you said, there's lots
So
of them.
many,
there.
yeah.
I suppose one of the most memorable fish for me was my PB bass 11-pounder caught somewhere in the streets.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
I know where it was.
on a-
Stood
on
on
a-
Britannia Bridge with a crab line.
on a big soft crab. But then there's loads of other memorable moments. Fishing with my dad, for example. You know what I mean? Grew up fishing with dad, and they were all special moments. Trips to Ireland, fishing.
You used to do killibegs, didn't you?
Killibegs, yeah, that was something else. You're talking about free lining there, hardly no tide, and you're free lining with strips of mackerel, and you're getting £10 coalies, £10 cod. Just
Wow.
you know what I mean, on light gear. It's just
Is it still like that now, or was that just
oh yeah,
back then?
they can't troll it. It's just it's impossible to troll the bay where they are there. So there was lots of things like that, and then we've had a lot of laughs since joining up with KNP. There was
We've had
my
some
first
amazing,
blonde ray last year. That was quite special down in South Wales in Barry Island there. So yeah, the list could be, you could be here forever
Could be
talking about
it could be a podcast on your
Yeah.
best moments. Yeah, it could
different
be,
story,
Maybe
different
that's-
stories all over.
Maybe that's another podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could back it
So-
up with pictures if we got
Yeah.
pictures.
So
we
there's
could back
definitely
it up
lots
as well.
of
Yeah,
good
you got
times
to
fishing
prove
with
that
dad. Yeah.
skate now, Vince.
That's it. Yeah.
Pictures and
I've
videos,
seen the
mate.
pictures. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Go on
Yeah.
then, Kate.
Well, first off, I've got meat sweats. I've just come from an all-you-can-eat buffet, so if you can see me wiping my head, I'm going to go really off-piece with mine. It isn't a big fish, and I caught it with you. It was my first ever red mullet on flagpole.
Yeah, you.
And the reason it was such a memorable fish is because we were like head-to-head all year in a species hunt we were doing. I think it was Tommy Joe's at the time, wasn't it? And I think I must have done at least 10,000 miles that year, genuinely. I've been to Chesil, Scotland, I've been everywhere. And most of the time was unsuccessful what I was going for. And I was pecking your head and Ginger Ackers, wasn't I?
Yeah.
About these red mullet, because you'll get them in autumn there. And I thought everyone was bullshitting me, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I fished hard for them. And I remember just seeing this tiny little fish come up, and I can't remember last time I was like excited to see a fish.
That was a good session.
I was screaming. But yeah, I've had some lovely fish. I've had taupe to over 60 on my own little boat. But yeah, definitely that was the most memorable fish I've had since in the last 6-7 years. Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Well, you've had a few red mullet, haven't you?
Landed no pier. I've had a few
Yeah.
off there, red mullet.
I
over
remember
the
you
years.
catching them and you were like, what's this thing?
I was
It's,
like,
It's a red whiting.
he was like, is it a koi?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was catching them one after
Good
another. I didn't know what they was. I was
Yeah.
like, what's that? What's that? I was like, just throwing it back.
pecker.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
on a side note, they are one of the best eating fish
Yeah, they are very good.
in the
Are they?
ocean.
Very
Agreed,
good
yeah.
eating fish.
Mackerel used to be my favourite. I ate one of them. I
Yeah.
even remember texting you because you
Yeah.
said eat it. I was like, it's not big enough. And it was legal size, but they don't get very big round here.
Yeah, all the
I
ones
ate
I
it,
had
and
was
honestly,
only
yeah,
that big.
honestly, they were insane.
Good fighting fish.
Yeah, I think that's how I realised what
Well,
it was. It
considering
just,
the
no,
size
no,
and
they are,
depending-
yeah, but I think that's how I realised it was a red mullet. It was just coming straight in, yeah.
Straight in, yeah.
It's about 60 feet over my head, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not
Straight
what
up
I
the
call
bottom.
a hard fighting
Scrap
fish
it, are
at
they?
all.
No.
They're not.
They're not
Just some
scrap.
straight up sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tend to be. So if you look at them, they're quite characteristically
feeders,
a
yeah.
bottom feeding fish that's
Yeah.
mooching around on the
Yeah,
bottom.
mouth
they're
stuck
not
to
a
the bottom,
powerful. Almost look a bit
Cat's fishy.
sturgeon-y, like
Yeah.
with,
Yeah,
like, just
with
the
the mouth
on
drops.
Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
right on the bottom kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So they
So,
will
yeah.
just stay hooked to the bottom, like.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
a good
The
ledge
lovely
of it would
looking
probably
fish,
get
though.
them, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
small light in that session as well, didn't we?
Yeah, my first ever small line as
No,
well.
I got it. You didn't get that.
I got it the day after because I was jealous. Yeah, I came back down in gale force winds with 3 sand eels and Christine as my weapon.
Yeah.
I stuck it out and I got my first small line as well.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Go on
Yeah.
then, Mike. We're on to you. I think I know what's coming because I think I was there, if I can remember right.
You were there, and now this is a very memorable one, and it is one for a few reasons. It would have to be my first shore caught tope, and I didn't only catch one; I caught the 2.
On a spot that I took him to.
Yeah. So this is how it went. Okay, so I'd said to John, we were looking for months prior, and I said to John, listen, we've got to go to Amlick around on the headland, and I said, well, they've got to be there. I said, I was adamant they're gonna be there, but you've got this big drop where John wanted to go first, didn't you? And I didn't quite want to go there. I wanted to go further around in the headland. So anyway, the session goes by, and you'd literally have to, like you said, you're chucking a 6-ounce lead at distance just to get over the snags. And I think Alex had a wrasse, didn't he?
Big wrasse.
Big
I
wrasse.
remember that.
And then we just struggled. So then up to the car we went, and he went, do you know what? We're going to try this mark. And it was on, yeah, you'd been searching it for like...
Don't say where it is. We'll be in trouble. We'll
We'll
be
be in
hated.
trouble.
Keep
You
quiet.
already just got out of that hot water, haven't you? Yeah.
For like months, John had been scoping this mark, and he'd been doing recce's like all around. And yeah, we went there. And I always remember it, the tide was literally at the lowest, wasn't it?
Mm.
And we got down there, and it was a nice journey down and stuff, and we were just in our element when we were just like
Yeah.
2 little kids going fishing. We were just loving it, and yeah, I just donned the bait, chucked it out, and I sort of like was expecting it, but I wasn't. And then you see that first initial, it's like, oh, here we go, right, I'm not touching it, and then it went, and then the battle started. But yeah, definitely the tope for me, 100%. And then as the session progressed, I had another one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Didn't weigh it, but
I was
Good
good
fish.
though.
20,
It was a
25,
good
30,
fish.
wasn't it?
40. One of them was decent, like
Yeah.
I can show a photo.
Yeah, I'll put a photo on. You can say,
Uh,
I had one as well, didn't I?
You had one, and
Epic.
Yeah.
We had very
4
similar
pounds.
sessions
We
to
had
be
a
fair, because
similar
your
session,
video led to my first shore caught tope, but
There you
someone lost
Well,
it
we
for me.
didn't get it, did we?
Yeah, and I think Kieran's words were, well, that's lessons learned for both of us. It wasn't.
yeah.
And he ended up catching up, but it was because of your video and
Yeah.
Kieran knowing the rock format of every
Yeah.
single place on Anglesey that we knew where you were,
Yeah.
and we went down.
But it's funny that you're saying that mark that when we were kids we used to ride our bikes from Bangor to that mark, and
like-
just fill our bags full of mackerel.
Mackerel.
And we never even thought ever
Of
once
putting one on
of
a big
throwing
hook.
big bait out.
No sharks there.
No.
Like, you don't
Yeah.
think about it, do
No,
you,
we
when
didn't
you're
even
a
think
kid?
about it when we were
Yeah.
kids. Tope fishing when we were kids was something that no
Yeah,
one,
you
I mean, not many
wouldn't know
people
it.
were doing.
It wasn't the thing, was it? Tope
No.
fishing like
No.
20, 30 years ago?
Boats,
Yeah.
yes, obviously, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think if there's mackerel there, the tope must not be far away? No matter where it is, if the tope are in, if there's mackerel
The
there,
predators are there, yeah.
they're going to be eating the mackerel as long as there's a sandy run or something.
If the conditions are right as
Oh,
well, I'd say.
yeah.
If the
Yeah.
mackie are there as well, you've got to have to run for them, haven't they?
Yeah, I think if not so much the mackie, I think if
There's
the
Fit
point
fish there.
where you're fishing is right, though, there has to be a decent bit of tide run
tide,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Because
the
the
key.
tope don't sit. Well, this is just my experience. The tope they're not sat in that tide, but they want to be right on top of that tide line where it's running through.
Mm.
So I don't know why, but I feel like they just sit just out of the tide,
Mm.
and now picking fish off that are coming
That's
through
it,
that
nail
tide
things,
that
yeah.
aren't as. If you were sat somewhere, if you got a mackerel in what isn't moving, it will shoot off like a bullet.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you've got a hard tide run and there's a tope sitting on the side of it, and these mackerel are trying hard to swim through that hard tide, strong tide, they're just going to try and pick them off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they
they're ambush
exhaust
predators then.
Absolutely,
Literally,
yeah.
Similar to a bass, really, wouldn't they? They'd sit just out of the flow.
Yeah.
You know, you imagine you've got like a structure there, and the tide rushing round it. They're going to be sat just intercepting stuff.
yeah,
and
yeah.
Calm,
You've
but-
got to have that run. And
Resourcing energy, making it easy.
we'd same again. Do you remember we were talking about it, and we were like the way it like spews out round there. We were saying the flow and stuff. You know, we weren't agreeing to it, but all being said, I should have just like listened to John that day. To be honest, with you. I should have just gone. But
for once.
For once, yeah, for once.
for once, yeah. But that, along with, I've had some memorable course fish as well. Obviously, it's course fishing, we're all sea fishermen and such. But I've had some amazing course fish over the years as well. I've had a cat to 40 pound, and I've had all sorts over the years, and yeah. But that would have to be the most memorable one.
Definitely.
What's yours?
It's got to be that bastard I caught on a full mackerel.
Yeah,
By mistake.
if you didn't say that, then I'm going to be walking out. Yeah,
Yeah, just that's it.
That
It was.
Drop the mic.
I weighed it, and it was a couple of ounce under 11 pound. I was actually fishing it. I will say I was fishing for Hudson Congers. I had a wire trace on it. I don't know if it's a wire trace or a fixed body. I think it's 150 pound body or a wire trace with a big full mackerel. It was well, everybody's seen the video. It was Nuri opposite Holyhead Breakwater. And I've had a couple of bangs, so I'm like, yeah, I've got a horse. And then it come to the side, and I looked down on it, and I was seeing this bass about that big, swimming towards me about that wide. I'm like, Jesus! Like, so I shouted somebody. Who was it? I shouted.
it was Gary Woods.
Gary Woods.
Yeah,
He was a very well-known
he's the
angler.
Welsh Federation, Welsh national champion or fisherman, and he was
Yeah.
just walking past it. Yeah, it's
And,
a bass.
I remember putting a picture. I think it was Shore Huggers or Shore Hunters or something. That's I had it on
Yeah,
Facebook
Huggers,
for
yeah.
years, but I put a picture on, and then it just went absolutely crazy. And I didn't know how special a double figure bass was then. I was fairly new to it, and then it just happened.
I think that's what kick-started your channel into sea fishing,
Sea
really, wasn't
fishing,
it?
yeah.
That one fish.
That was definitely
You know.
when I'd first heard of it. It was like some
me
brummy's
too.
just been down and had a
Yeah.
had an 11-pound bass off near it. It was like, yeah, all right, yeah.
But I don't know why, but for some reason then I took the big landing net and I took my expensive
Yeah.
carp scales. And I
Gary
don't know-
landed it for you, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I've weighed it on
Insane.
camera. I was like, yeah, it's about an ounce under 11. We'll call it a double. Just
Yeah.
didn't think. Just put it back.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must have had, I don't know, I'm going to say, I had 100 bass last year. So if I've had 500 bass, I've never got close to a
The
double.
double no.
And that one.
Yeah.
No, I'm-
Most people don't.
That could have
Most
been.
people
No.
don't.
No.
It-
A double figure bass, you don't realise just how special,
special
that is.
that
These
is.
Yeah,
days, like these days.
Mm.
So back 20 years ago, when I was fishing, and I've been a keen angler since I was 5 years old. So I first went with my dad. But like a double figure bass 20 years ago, still a special fish,
Mm.
Yeah.
but nothing like what it is now.
No.
Like it's a different world now. Double figure bass now is
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
it's overfishing.
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 Trawling or
Yeah.
people being able to
Trawling,
take?
netting, inshore
Netting,
netting
yeah.
is a huge problem.
Yeah.
I would say, because most of the bass come into, especially the bigger ones who are of breeding age and capability,
Yeah.
they all come into inshore grounds and estuaries, and that's where they do their thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like so, from the south coast in the south coast where I do a lot of fishing, you can go all the way from Hive, which is Kent, which is East Kent.
Yeah.
You can go all the way down. I wouldn't like to say how long it is. 50, 60 miles of coastline along the south coast, and there are there's tangle nets which are or sort of gill nets, tangle nets along every single stretch of beach. Inshore,
That's
within
it.
casting range.
We
most
saw
of the time.
videos, I don't know how true they are or how staged they were, but down there, local shore lads taking the nets and burning them
Yeah.
at the top of the beach in
And
fire
fair play
pits.
on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair play to
They
them.
were literally taking the nets.
Is that legal to put them nets down then?
It's not illegal, is it?
No,
It's
no.
a
Licensed,
certain way I
Yeah.
don't
So-
like saying this as such, like, but isn't it a certain way they've got to run the nets in certain times a year?
So, with
Is there an angle?
you and me and all of us, we've got no commercial licences or
No.
anything like that.
Yes.
So,
yes.
you and me, we can go out and set a gill net, and we have the same restrictions as you and me as an angler
Yeah.
from the beach.
So you can only take
So
two
I
anyway,
can
so there'd
take
be no point.
2 bass.
Yes.
I don't know what the sizes are because they go
42,
from
42,
So
yeah.
you and me, any of us, we can take 2 bass between or 45 plus or 42 plus. Sorry, but the problem with that is you going and chucking a gill net through an estuary, you're going to
Catch a load.
any
Yes.
bass that swim through that net,
Yeah.
it's going to die.
Yeah,
But you can't take it.
You can't take it, but obviously they do.
Mm.
Whoever's doing it, like they're not going there netting 20 bass,
Taking
Leaving.
two.
throwing 18 away and keeping 2,
Yeah,
are
Of
they?
course
Yeah,
not. And
no
if,
way.
if it's
Yeah.
dead, even though it's wrong, I'd say it'd be better to probably to take it instead of
But that's
It
where the
would be.
legal
But that's the legal
loopholes.
loop-
That's
Yeah.
why
But
the-
The
problem-
next man could come and take it.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
there's loopholes
Yeah,
there.
it's-
Probably.
Yeah, but I think that any inshore netting within, this is my opinion, and it's probably going to get a lot of backed up saying this from the commercial boys, but any netting, whether it be static nets, drift nets, bottom trawling, any netting, any commercial activity within, I don't know, 2-3 miles of the shoreline should be absolutely
Yeah.
banned.
Instantly
Full
banned.
stop.
I'd agree with that.
Get
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
stop doing it.
Like you say, they're coming into breed as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
How old how old would you say a £10 bass is?
£10 bass is at
30 years.
least, it's 15 plus,
Yeah.
easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, 15 to 20 years
I remember-
old, easily.
A guy called
Mad,
Gary
huh?
Mitchell who used to be with the Banker Club at one time. They'd done a lot of research into it, and they reckon that it took 3 years to grow a pound.
A pound.
Yeah.
Wow. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, we can take bass at 42 centimetres.
Yeah.
Do they not have to be bigger than that to breed? They don't breed at that size, do they?
So this
Yeah,
is
that's
a
the
funny.
So
thing, yeah.
we're allowed to take them before they're allowed to
Yeah.
breed. So
So just I've
Yeah.
got two points to make on this. First one being, there should be a slot size.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I
So
said that's
A maximum
42
size,
to
yeah.
55.
yeah.
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 And anything
that
over
should be a
60s,
slot
mate,
size.
personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything over 60. Or
I think
59,
42 is probably a bit small
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're going off that. I
But-
think we say down south it's 45, yeah?
No, 42. It's
Oh,
42.
42, I thought
yeah,
you
yeah.
said
but it-
45, right.
yeah.
I know there are
in-
different
in-
restrictions in different
in
parts
the,
of the
in the
country.
States, they for lots of different sea fish,
they do
they
it so
have
well over
they
there.
do it
don't
really well. You know, what I mean, they've got different seasons where you're allowed to take things. Things are banned during some parts of the year. Like Vince said, slot sizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
So anything over such or anything under such goes
Yeah.
back, and possibly you're only allowed to take 1 or 2, like we do
Yeah.
with the bass as well. But
It's a good
Yeah.
point. When
Slot-
would a bass start breeding? Spawning
It's
that
bigger
is
than
nice.
42 centimetres, isn't it?
So, this is my other point from the breeding side of things. So, there's been quite a few studies over the years, because I get so nerdy with this stuff. Been quite a few studies over the years, bass and cod particularly.
Yeah.
So, if you speak to any angler and they'll go, what's a cod, what's a codlin? And most of them will say £5 or £6.
£6.
Most people say, there you go, £6.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the reason for that is because back in the day, cods became capable of breeding at about 6 years old. So that's when a cod became a codlin. A codlin became a cod. But what's happened with bass and cod or codlin, they've, I call it evolved, whether it's evolved or not, but what's happened, their breeding habits have changed. So now, smaller fish, so they've done studies now, and there's 2-3 pound bass and codlin that are now capable of reproducing because there
It's like
isn't
modern day.
bigger fish around.
So they've
Yeah.
adapted.
So they've
Yeah,
adapted
yeah.
to the environment.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
No, it makes sense, yeah. If there's
I
not
don't-
the
I
big
couldn't name
breeders
the
there,
study,
then, yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
there is studies out there that have
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just going to check that camera's still good. You lot carry on.
So,
Is
yeah,
it
it's,
recording?
Oh,
It's not pressed record.
Yeah, we're all good. Imagine if I didn't press record then.
I've,
Half an hour.
24
Yeah.
minutes. On that. Oh, so what we're going to do, Rob's just said it's been half an hour, but my camera's saying 24 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to have about half an hour chat, and then we'll go and get a drink, have a
Yeah.
wee, do what we've got to do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we'll come back for another half an hour or so.
Replenish the pints.
It's gone too
Yeah.
quick, we haven't even
It has-
mentioned...
I've not even asked my.
He's not even...
I've got more questions than I've got to answer. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think definitely we're going to have to do a few of these because we just
Yeah,
can't get
100%.
through it all.
Yeah.
It's just go on. So go on then, Key. Do you want to
Oh, I've got a list. No, I'm joking. I've seen so many comments on your videos.
Yeah.
Do you still use catapults? Do you still?
No.
No, that's answered that
no,
one,
they're
isn't it?
done. They're
Yeah,
in the past done.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's done.
Fair dues.
How many trophies did you get?
I was the first person in the UK and I think in the world to win 100 trophies.
Seriously?
He just went.
Shoot. And then that was it.
Yeah. Fair dues. Well, that's answered that question.
Yeah.
then,
Put it this way.
Target achieved, literally. Yeah.
You haven't. Have you seen him on the catapults?
I haven't,
seen
no.
one.
Right.
Do you want to see this guy?
Put an apple on your head and stand.
Stand up.
I'd rather not.
Honestly, stand. I could tell you this now. You'd be all right. Stand 40 yards down there with an apple on your head, and he'll lick your head.
Your
head.
Hit the apple on your head.
And you'll drop like a stone. Yeah.
Hit the apple on your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
I'll tell you what. Then what's your favourite method of fishing? And we'll ask a fishing
This
question.
is something we was taught. This
Yeah.
was one of the questions
Yes.
you wanted to print. It's hard, really.
Bream fishing.
Yeah.
Like in sea fishing, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Obviously, we're not.
I like bait fishing
Yeah.
on a beach where there's bass around.
Yeah.
That's probably.
So that's your ideal
yeah.
day
If
fishing.
there's loads of bass feeding and you're on a beach that's a bit surfing, you're catching
Yeah.
bass. That's it.
Yeah.
I
I'd
don't,
have to agree
think
with
much
that, I
beats that.
No.
No.
For me, recently, I think it's. I don't know. I am swaying to the idea of LRF fishing. I do like
Okay.
it.
It's getting popular.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
definitely
Yeah.
something that the last few years.
I know you don't want to hear it at the moment. Like, everyone's been hearing it for the past couple of weeks, but it,
quiet all of a
it
sudden.
is
No,
quite,
I-
it is
I-
quite
no,
fun.
yeah, I
like,
like it.
It's fantastic fun.
like the lighter you go with a rod,
Yeah.
you know, you feel every single bite through it. Obviously with
Yeah.
the braid and stuff, but it's just great fun.
So the thing is,
But
the
same
reality of
again-
sea fishing is not always going out catching big fish. So
Yeah.
if you could go out and have fun with the smaller fish, we've spent so many
We spend hours
lovely
and hours.
afternoons on Look.
Yeah.
You guys fish it often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dock.
Literally just hours with one pot of rag between you, 2 little LRF rods. You probably have more fun doing that. So I'd have to
Happy
kind
as
of
Larry with that
Yeah,
sort of
I
thing.
love it.
Like, yeah.
sun's out.
Same again with a light rod as well. You can target sort of bigger fish as long as they're capable, and that's great fun as well. It's
As
like
long as they're there, yeah.
when I first started off,
Yeah, that's the thing.
when I first started off with you, we were just using cart rods and stuff, weren't we?
Yeah, and we were chucking full mackerel baits in. We 10
Full
looks everywhere we
mackerel,
went.
yes.
Well, it worked.
You
You
know
had an
what?
11 pound bass,
We was
yeah.
catching, we was catching everything.
Yeah.
We
I
was
I
using
remember
love it, yeah.
when I first kind of met you, it was like go big or go home, and I had to really persuade you.
Like
So
bait
scale
stick.
down.
I said
yeah.
you've got 2 rods. I said just carry on with your big baits, throwing them out, and then just scale down a bit on your left rod.
I remember
Yeah,
when
see
you
what
kept
flap it
giving
up
me, you started giving
You
me
kept
rigs
laughing
lately,
at him, yeah.
and I was looking at the hooks. I was like, is that
I
for
wouldn't
a
use that in
single
a
maggot?
pond. Yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
use that in a pond.
but I've
Yeah.
definitely got smaller thanks to
Yeah.
Keys rigs and
Yeah, that's
progressing.
something that we've definitely seen that you refined your
I'm-
techniques.
Because
Yeah.
I've not been,
Yeah.
I've only been sea fishing a few years.
But the
definitely
go
not
big or go
long.
home approach hasn't failed you, has it?
I
That's
seem
the
to
thing.
catch more when I've done that.
Yeah.
To be fair though, even like just half a mackie, that's all we ever used to fish with really. Was it? We
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to use like lug every now and then, but it was half a mackie, go big or go home.
Yeah.
On wire
and fair
traces
play.
How many
everywhere.
Yeah.
fishes that like
And
the
fair play,
bullets
though.
and
It
you
worked
know, the
for you.
big congas and
Yeah.
but then it spans down to like we could use that now. Say if someone said you wanted a bull us, it's like there you go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or you want to go Kong it? Yeah, there you go. But
Yeah.
I think mackerel and using big rigs like that and that
Perfect
it
for
did
double
pretty
figure
well,
bass.
that, like, look at you,
Yeah.
double
Yeah,
figure
yeah,
bass.
yeah. I mean, I don't know why we didn't think of that before. Yeah,
Yeah.
We were saying this before. South Coast, where your home grounds are.
Yeah.
That's correct me if I'm wrong. That's
Method,
an opted for bait, isn't it? Joey's mackerel.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
round here, as far as I'm aware, that isn't something. I mean, I know they'll
Only
take
for
it
live, yeah.
live, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't a Joey, it was that big.
No, but
It was literally,
a little
yeah,
tuna, yeah.
It was a proper unit.
little
of a mackerel.
finito.
I don't even think you
But
got the tail
I've
or
seen
anything
a
of
lot
it.
of lads down there. They don't take crab.
No.
They don't take worm. They'll just take
No,
fresh Joey's.
Hold Joey in the
Chuck
surf.
it in the gutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's what they're feeding them.
But down my way, so this is, I think we were talking about this the other day,
yeah.
about bass fishing in general. Like bass fishing for me, don't get me wrong, in the past I've had doubles, but like these days for me, bass fishing, it just doesn't do it for me. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah.
I just find it. So where I'm from, southeast corner of the country, Kent, all along there, it's just stacked with bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely stacked with them. It's
Yeah.
like shooting fish in the barrel. And I get it. Like I suppose I would get it if you're fishing on like super light gear, but because the rods I generally fish with, there's nothing to them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I don't even rate him for an eating fish either.
I don't eat any fish.
Controversial.
Everything goes bad.
Controversial
Mac-
opinion.
Mackie
Very
for me.
controversial
Mackie for me,
opinion.
I love Mackie. Love
Or
it.
get a red mullet. I'll tell you what,
Red-
you'll never eat mackerel again.
good,
We're going.
So
Yeah.
the question, what question was we on? What's your favourite style of fishing? You've done yours. Did you do yours, Keith?
It'd have to be the boat, plain and
The
simple. Yeah, if we had better weather around here, I'd sell all my shore gear.
Would you? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd buy a bigger boat.
It's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? When you're out
It's a
there?
lot easier. Yeah.
Well, is it?
Well, no.
Considering the conditions of the rock of the boat, and
Yeah,
it
I
is
think-
still quite a challenge, isn't it?
It's got its own challenges. I think the challenges I find with boat fishing is staying alive.
Yeah,
No,
literally.
yeah, is the pressure of staying alive. As a lot of you have seen my cars, they're knackered. I don't maintain them. I remember going over a speed bump in the old Land Rover and all the windows fell down. But I do maintain my boat engine simply because there isn't an AA out there or a scrapyard.
Key with cars. You've got a spare one out here, haven't you? Don't
Yeah,
you?
I've got two out there.
He just
at the minute,
kills them.
yeah, I've got one 4-launcher boat, which is the one I got stuck last month. But yeah, boat fishing. But like I said, it comes with its own challenges. But in general,
You're on top of them.
you're on
aren't
top of them. So like, your lure fishing so much easier, your bait fishing so much easier. It's just learning how to fish again, but
Yeah,
from
yeah.
a boat.
Yeah.
But as a general, yeah, my ideal day would be getting up the crack of dawn and not coming back till the day after.
Yeah.
Anchoring a wreck at night as well. Just
Beautiful.
staying out.
So what would yours be, Kieran?
I know, you know what,
If you had to pick one.
Recently, last 3 years, it's all been about species hunting and just varying what we do, throwing big baits out, like Mike was saying, the little bits down the side and that.
Yeah.
We've had lots of fun.
Yeah,
haven't we?
awesome,
We've
yeah.
had some proper.
The competitive side of it as well is
Yeah,
just brilliant.
funny,
When
yeah.
you're arguing over a fish that big, yeah.
Yeah. and the other thing about that is as well, we've caught fish that we've not seen before.
Yeah, I think, was it last year?
Yeah.
I think I must have had 8-9 species that
New
I've never
species,
caught
yeah.
before. I think it
Yeah.
was 50, I'm going to say 48 shore caught species, and I think 8 of them were new.
But,
And
that
they
was
all later then, I
scaling
imagine, I'd say 3/4 of them would just fish at your feet, literally
That's
little.
Yeah.
What the hell's that?
Mhm.
I suppose the thing that I refined a bit more recently is using the dongles though
Yeah.
for the rays and
Good
and this.
Yep.
That was a good one the other
Yeah,
night.
it was
the other day,
nice,
wasn't it?
yeah, very nice.
That was on a dongle on the break the other day.
Once
Um,
I've got the dongle in the mouth, they're not getting away from it, are they?
Oh, I'm not saying that. I dropped 2 the
Oh,
other day.
did you?
You never had Carion's dongle in your mouth.
He
No.
won't drop
You'd
that
be
one.
spitting that
I was-
straight
yeah,
out. Yeah.
I was out fishing
That,
with
I'm off.
big fish out with Big Nige the other day, and I was just bringing one in just for a general bait check. I didn't see nothing, and it was like that, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is heavy. It was a double shot of rays.
Was it?
Yeah,
Wow.
both of them had just taken the dongle like that and hadn't had enough time to.
Spat it out.
And it got to the little wave, took it.
Yeah.
And Nige goes, "There's 2-1."
It's true caveman style.
Both of them came off.
2-1.
Yeah. So that was I think that was the first time in a long time, isn't it, that I've said that dongles failed for me.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah,
ever
the
used it.
dongle is actually
Yeah,
working.
great.
I've had hounds on it now. I've had hearse on it.
Yeah.
Bass is the next target on that.
Yeah.
Go on then, Vince, your preferred
Go on,
method.
Vince,
I know it's not bass fishing because he's already
No.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
You're getting up in the morning, you can go do whatever you want to do. What you're doing.
What would you pick?
So,
Fishing wise.
so I've been fishing, like, the first time I went fishing, I was sort of 5 years old with my old man. And I've fished pretty solidly ever since then. And it's not an ego thing, it's not I've been there, I've done that kind of thing, but like I just can't get excited about what you're talking about, the LRF stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just for me, doesn't work for me. Like, it doesn't. So
That's
my
fishing, innit?
favourite style of fishing would be picking a species, be it a ray, be it a tope, be it whatever, and trying to pick out that one special fish of that
Yeah.
species.
Yeah.
So targeting, being really specific.
Mm.
With-
Something to aim for.
Yeah, so setting myself, and maybe that's just how my mind works, but just setting myself a target of that particular species and going, right, that's what I'm after. And if I go 3, 4, 5 weeks down the line and nothing's changed, I'm still going to carry on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
Makes
get
it
my
all
mind
more
so set,
demoralising.
it's
Like,
like-
yeah. Setting
Yeah.
yourself really specific targets. It's
Yeah.
just like, that just
Yeah,
makes it
and
more
like the little
demoralising,
stuff,
isn't it?
like I'll quite happily do it this is going to sound insane as well. I'll happily do it like the little mini, and I'll do it for half an hour, and I'll just get so bored of it.
Yeah.
But I can sit there with a clunking great big beta, staring at my rod tip for 4 hours, doing nothing, and I'm perfectly happy.
Yeah.
That's right.
How
I
mad's
can't
that?
do
It's
it.
worth the wait.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's it.
I don't know, but yeah. So mine would, definitely picking out a
Target a
specific
big
fish,
specimen.
going right. I'm after that, and it is worked for me. So,
Yeah. You've had some good fish.
We're going to have a little break now. Does anybody want to put any plugs in? Kieran, what you got there?
Right, guys. So
Got
I
it.
don't know if the camera will pick it up, but on
Yeah,
the
I'll hold it, you talk. Hold on a minute, the paper that is. Yeah.
so on the Anglesey Tight Lines first match is organised for the 9th and 10th of August as a 24-hour Anglesey Rover species hunt. So it'll work like we'll meet in the Bragdy Cubby, which is a microbrewery behind Argos in Holyhead. Meet there from 2 o'clock on the Saturday. Everyone leaves there at 4.
Hammered.
Anyway, everyone leaves there at 4 o'clock and then comes back to there for 4 o'clock the day after.
Rover meaning you can
Yeah.
go wherever you want on
On
Anglesey.
Anglesey.
Go for a wander.
It'll be send pictures of the fish on a measuring card to the admin team. I haven't
Yeah.
spoken to them about that one yet properly, but it will be.
Yeah.
And then like for example, if you get a bass up to 42 centimeters, that'll give you 1 point. If you get a bass between 42 and say 56, that's 3 points. And anything over 56 will go 5 points. And I've got a list like that for all the other fish. So we'll
Every
convert.
possible fish
Yeah.
that could be
Oh,
well, potential. I think
We've scratched our heads, haven't we? And
Yeah.
think what
So
we
just
can
put a
do.
full
there is
back
going
on
to
it,
be
you get
some
5 points.
Yeah, just turn up a fish like Johnny.
And then obviously we will accept mackerel and herring and things, but they're only going to be 1 point
Yeah.
kind of fish.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, they're not in a size
Yeah.
type.
Sounds interesting, that does.
Yeah.
Anybody else want any plugs or anything to say before we have a break?
All I'll say is if you can, subscribe to every one of our channels and obviously
absolutely.
follow Vince's Facebook page and Bluefin.
Yeah, thanks to Rob as well. He's over here in the background. We'll have a little break and see you again. What should we talk about next?
Well, I'll have to wait and see, won't we?
His face.
If I have another drink, it's going to be.
Let's
Go
go.
on.
Bet me going out
Yeah.
after the watershed.
None of us know what we're doing. We're all winging it.
Yeah.
We're all winging it. Right, part 2. We're all winging it.
We're all winging it through our fishing
Just worked out
adventures.
the winging it, yeah.
Right, so-
Absolutely.
Come on, Johnny, questions. Let's go.
Right then. So, as Vince was saying earlier, what makes you a good angler?
Fishing with someone who's really shit. That's what I tend to do. I'll do my best to.
You couldn't say that any better, mate.
Fishing with someone who makes you look really good.
Is that why you got a camera?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
What makes you a good angler? I'd say
What makes you successful? Like, what do you think? What led you to being a successful angler?
me. I'd say personally fishing from a young boy. I know you're not going to like it at all, but I was really big into my freshwater fishing.
Yeah, I think we all start well.
Yeah. I remember being 4 years of age, literally, and there's a place in Buckley called the Common. And
Well,
it
can I
was
just say, he's
frozen
fished,
solid.
fished for whales here, as you know.
I have fished for two
Freshwater.
whales, yeah.
Blue whales or.
Yeah. and killers. Yeah.
Every weekend I go out for
That's
whales.
the one.
Yeah.
And I was on the Common in Buckley, and I remember breaking the ice to be able to get my rig in, and I was getting so much like into the fishing. I'd be walking across the ice, and I fell straight through it. And I was only 4, and literally I just thought, right, I still want to fish. I'll go home, I'll get changed, come back out. So from that moment, obviously, I was just hooked into my fishing. So obviously, I've done a lot of match fishing. So I've got that in my angling background, sort of thing. So it's taught me a lot, especially with like tips and stuff like that, fishing the tip. That then comes into sea fishing to some extent, which way you put
Yeah,
the
it's all
rods.
transferable, isn't it? I guess.
That's it, yeah. Like knowing different weight of rods and tips, and you know, I
Yeah.
think if it wasn't for my freshwater fishing, I wouldn't be sea angling today. I might be, but I've learned pretty much most of my things from freshwater, and that's down to like, you know, your watercraft, knowing, you know, what's the different conditions when the carp are coming up on the surface, or if it's overcast and stuff like that. And from that, I think we see angling. I've learnt a lot from that, but
Now you already
I'd
know
say-
your knots and everything, how to have a
That's
sharp
it, yeah,
hook
yeah.
and all that. Yeah.
I'd
The
say I've got
principles of fishing are there. It's just learning a different.
different styles,
Yeah.
and that's why I could just pick up any rod and think, right, I'll go fly fishing today, sort of thing, and it's all linked into my angling, and that's why obviously sea fishing now. I'd like to say I'm successful, but
You catch fish. You
I
catch good fish.
I
yeah.
catch some good fish.
On a regular basis. It's not a fluke.
Yeah,
You're a
and
good fisherman,
sometimes
yeah.
you're blank, and that's down to
It's normal.
conditions. If
You've
the fish
got to
ain't
accept
there,
that, haven't you?
they're not there, and that's part and parcel of.
And that makes
fishing.
it better as well. If you can take the blanks and because sometimes the fish just aren't there. But if you're
They're
if
not
you're
there.
blanking other people out, I think that makes you
There's
better
a
as well. If
problem
you go
there,
home
yeah.
and you work out what it is, or you look into it, and then you come back and change it,
Yeah.
keep doing the same thing, you'll never get any better, will you?
And you'll often see that in my videos. If I'm not catching,
Yeah.
I will think of a different rig or just change something right to the hook.
Yeah, yeah.
There'll be something that's on my mind as I'm thinking throughout the session, and I'll think, right, it's this. And a
Yeah.
simple thing like putting an earth clip on and getting your bait pinned down to the bottom,
Yeah.
bang, you're into the fish. So I think all of my fishing combined has pretty much made
Helps.
me the
A
angler
better
I am
angler?
today, yeah.
Yeah.
You actually saying about the you went really into depth, didn't it, about the pressures and the weather in
Yeah.
terms of sea fishing and how that can.
So
affect
because of the way my mind works, I really get like in depth, like, and I'll sit there and I'll look at studies of fish and their movements and when they feed, how they feed, why they feed. So, for example, I was speaking to Rob, who owns Bluefin, the other night about people often talk about fishing through before a storm, after a storm, during a storm. So fish are incredibly clever. They're far smarter than us when it comes to the understanding of water and the weather. Like way smarter than us. Way smarter. So fish have specific organs that are designed to pick up weather changes and incoming weather and outgoing weather. So they have, like, every fish has got a lateral line somewhere, like, you know, place got it down their back, could have got it could have got it down their sides. You know, every fish has a lateral line, and down that lateral line, that lateral line, that has sensory organs within that lateral line. So it does a few things. So they're able to detect movement within the water column through that lateral line. So within that lateral line, they have these things, and they look like little trees. If you look at them under a microscope, they look like little trees, like this, like little trees, and they're called nanomasts. And what they do, or what they're there to do, is they're there to detect and feel temperature and pressure changes, and also like incoming weather. So you'll see a lot of people talking about fishing after a storm. But what I like to do, I like to fish just before the storm hits, just as it's hitting. Because what happens, these fish know. They know there's an incoming storm, they know there's a weather change, and I don't know whether they know exactly what that weather change is.
Yeah.
But I think they recognise there's something coming, and what they will do before, like a massive blow, like crashing waves, really rough seas, choppy water, they're not going to be able to feed as easily. So what they do just before a storm, they'll absolutely grub up. They will just feed hard, because they don't know. They know it's coming, the weather, but they don't know how long it's going to be there for.
So check that camera once that you carry on.
So that's my. Look, I get really geeky into literally the biology of a fish.
Again, that, going back to it, that's what makes you a good angler, because
Yeah,
It's understanding the anatomy of the fish and how that fish behaves.
yeah.
Do you find you catch more fish just before a storm then? Have you?
I really enjoy fishing for a storm. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So
Yeah.
you've just taught me something then. When you say what makes the angling, you're always learning. You've just taught me something then, and something that I will be considering in the future. Because recently, after storms, when people say like after a good storm,
it's been a big block.
it's gonna be fishing really well. But this is me personally. It might be different for other people, but I found that fishing can be very tough after a storm.
Shall I
Once
tell you
it's
why?
been
Weed.
over, smashed up, the baits everywhere, weeds.
That's exactly that. There is literally after a storm, the fish are again. It might have only been a storm for a day,
Yeah,
but sometimes storms last 2, 3, 4 days.
yeah.
So once that storm is churned up, like just smashed up cuttlefish, squid, all sorts of other small fish, shellfish. There is an absolute plethora of food in the
like a big
water
dinner
column,
plate,
sat on the
basically.
seabed,
Yeah.
and every fish is just honking everything up it can get.
Full up.
And your rig out there, they're like,
Doing nothing, is
I
it?
got
Yeah.
one in a million
Like,
shot. Yeah.
yeah, there is
A
so
lot of
much food
natural
for them
bait there,
naturally
yeah.
there.
Mm.
Yeah,
So if you
And
know
that's-
there's a storm coming, you know that.
100%. So what you've got to look at
I
is
remember that one.
is pressure. This is another thing we were
Pressure.
talking
That's
about.
right, yeah.
So air pressures. So from our atmosphere down to the ground, on average, there's per square inch, which is obviously I don't know what an inch is.
An
Right,
inch is
that-
that big.
that's,
I don't know.
that's an inch, isn't it?
Plus 7.
But per
Well,
per
another
square
couple of
inch
leaves we find out.
from our atmosphere down to the ground, there's on average, obviously, that's average. There's about 14.6 pounds of pressure pushing down from our atmosphere down to the ground. You and me, we don't notice that because we don't need to notice it. It makes no difference to how we operate and feed and function. But in the water, when you get them pressure changes, that's what happens. So you have so there's only one or two type of fish. So when you get like a really high pressure is good for place. Reason being, because in the water column, you've got all sorts of food, from like microscopic food all the way up to the top of the food chain, bass, whatever. But what happens when you have super high pressure? So you imagine buoyancy. You imagine holding a 10 kilo weight in your hand like that.
Pressure.
Yeah. So but in the air, it's heavy. Hold it in the water, it's much higher. I'll sort that out. It's much lighter. It feels much lighter, and that's buoyancy. So changes in pressure have a much bigger effect in the water than they do on land. So what happens, for instance, with high pressure, it will push from the microscopic stuff, literally stuff we can't see, and it will jam it all on the bottom of the seabed. Like literally force it, push it down through the water column onto the seabed. That's why place fishing is good. Settled weather, high pressure, because everything's on the bottom. Where do they feed? On the bottom.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Makes
You
perfect sense.
Yeah. But also, I'm getting so geeky about this now. So pressure changes really affect how fish feed. So if you've got like what you want, whether it be high for a long time, low for a long time, or average for a long time, what you want is consistent pressure.
Stable.
Because after a certain amount of time, even if it's high pressure, fish are going to have to feed.
Yeah.
So after a certain amount of time, if you've got a consistent pressure for 4, 5, 6 days, you might as well go and have a fish.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to eat at some point.
Is it true when the wind blows east, the fish bite least?
This is a
Round
question
baby.
for
Is
this
it
is a
true?
question for this guy.
That's
This is.
I've
been a
seen
couple
his
of
video.
titles of his video.
It has, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally, I would say yes. However, like you guys are saying now, in the last what, 2 or 3 months, we've had quite a lot of easterly winds,
Yeah,
and they've
too
gone out
many.
there anyway, and done all right. Yeah, it's one of those.
Is it a
weird
myth
ones.
that's just?
It's
Would you?
so
I
what
think it
happens
depends where you
I think
are
you'd
as
be
well.
able to answer that one. Sort of
with
thing, right? 'Cause it
with easterly winds. So what you've got to look at is the UK as an
depends
island.
where you are.
Yeah.
So, what easterly winds do? So on the southwest coast and up the west coast, you've got the Gulf Stream. So with southwesterly winds, it pushes that Gulf Stream along the bottom of the south coast and all the way up the west coast. And that what generally it brings nutrients and food and everything with through the water column. But what an easterly will do, it will drop the pressure down. So it will generally be a bit more stormy, a bit unsettled. So with easterlies, especially on the east coast, I mean, you talk to the cod anglers in the winter and they want an easterly.
Yeah.
Because they want it howling horrible.
Coming out, yeah.
And what the cod will do is then come into shore and feed on all the smashed up stuff.
Yeah, and then
But I genuinely, it depends where you are in the country, what you're doing, what you're trying to target. I don't think fish in the east, fish bite least, fish in the west, fish bite best. I don't think it's not real. It depends where you are.
Where you are, yeah.
And then you were saying, you know, going back to Vince's thing about the pressure and low pressure, those sessions where I did find success, they were all mostly ray sessions.
Yeah.
And where do they feed as well?
Yeah.
They feed on the
Yeah.
bottom as well, yeah.
That makes sense again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of true, kind of not. Yeah.
I think you just got to get out there and try it, haven't you?
Get out there and put a
So
bait.
it's not dangerous weather, it's...
Yeah.
It's perseverance, really, isn't it? Just going
Down,
out
down
and-
to the bait, do you think fresh beats frozen every time? Or is that
100%.
100%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Like-
again, we're blessed to have the 3 best worm diggers on Anglesey, I'd say,
Yeah.
for this shop.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
always fresh bait in
There's
there.
always fresh, always fresh bait, and there's no doubt, fresh, always.
Yeah.
Match the
best.
hatch. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
This
yeah.
kind of goes on to another thing about being a successful angler as well.
Yeah.
If you can go out,
Yeah.
and
Get
like, everyone
your
can
bait,
learn.
yeah.
It's not particularly difficult. Digging, pumping,
Yeah.
Yeah.
picking crabs, picking mussels. If you can just go out and figure it out and get your own fresh bait before a session,
Yeah.
makes such a vast difference. It's
does.
like,
To your angler as a whole, like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not just that.
Cheaper, it's
just-
easier,
obviously,
it's more rewarding as
it's
well.
definitely
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
rewarding,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I don't know, I'd rather spend a tenner than be pumping all
Well,
afternoon,
yeah.
to be fair. Doing this.
You've got the knack of that pumping. I watched some of your
Yeah.
videos now.
Trevor,
I remember going on Fleetwood Beach, this must be well over 10 years ago, bought what Winnie had called a blunderbuster because the gauge on it, you could fit a bowling ball up.
it's got a 50 mil
Four-
bait pump.
yeah,
like,
for 4 hours at a time, I got a worm and a half.
Yeah, I was saying
Yeah.
to somebody about this the other day with the worm pumps. Is there any way that anybody could bring an electrical worm pump
It'd be
out where you put it
amazing,
on the
wouldn't it?
hole and you push a button?
It'd
It's
be
like,
amazing.
There is,
wouldn't it?
I've seen one.
There is
Over
one,
in
but
It's in
Australia.
America. Yeah,
No, it's
it's something
Australia.
mental, yeah.
They would,
There was a geezer, he made, it was literally, he put it in the ground and he pressed the button and go,
yeah.
and it wasn't for worms,
Johnny's not
it
even
was
blinking,
for,
he's like,
Where's that?
it was for yabbies.
Google it,
Yeah,
Rob.
like tiny little
Don't,
babies.
don't soon be
Google it,
stopped
Rob.
in blue
Rob's
film.
just ordered 3, yeah.
Rob's just ordered 2,000.
Yeah, there was a guy, like, to be fair, it's not
Yeah.
that difficult. Like,
No.
so
Yeah,
really
Once you get in the
simple.
swing of it, yeah, I agree. I do a lot of
A
digging
bait
for
pump is such a
ragworm and
simple
blow
thing,
up.
isn't it?
I
Do you know what,
Such
I
a
actually
simple thing.
prefer digging for
I do.
with
Oh.
with a fork.
No.
Yeah, I do.
I have more. Sounds mad, like, but I have more success with that than I do in
Fork.
pumps.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know what it
I
is.
think it's because
I think
I
I'm
not like a
specifically
professional.
think with ragworm, fishery ragworm, if I can't blow lug, they're all in the same kind of
Yeah.
ground round here.
I think
Pump
it's,
doesn't work.
it's so down where I'm
Not
from,
everywhere,
down on the Kent coast, like Dungey Blacks have
Yeah.
been
Yeah,
a
yeah.
thing
The big thing, aren't they?
forever. Like as long as I can remember, from a kid fishing,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Dungey Blacks was the one. And you'll go anywhere in the country, and I've been all over the country. You'll go anywhere, and they're selling Dungey Blacks. They're literally sold as Dungey Blacks.
What's the Dungy Black then?
It's just a black duck.
Click from
Black
Dungeness.
Yeah.
So it's just, why are they different or are they not?
I don't know. People think they're magic, but they're not.
They're not.
Like, they're not.
No.
They're just a
Just-
black
no
duck.
Just a black
They
They
know
one.
catch
difference
more
to-
anglers than they do fish, yeah.
They're
But
not-
because Dungeness, like there's probably 10 miles of coast where you can go pumping down there, and that's where, for the majority of the last probably 15, 20, maybe even more years, that's where most shops black lug have come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everyone
Yeah,
bought Dungey Black. Like it was sold
Yeah, yeah.
all around the country. But now, because that's my home stretch. So now I can go down, whereas I've not been doing it for long, maybe 4 or 5 years pumping. So rather than 5 years ago, I could go down and I could pump 200 worms in an hour. Job done.
Mhm.
Go fishing for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
But now, it is being hammered.
Yeah.
The marks are
Beds have
ruined.
gone
And what
like, yeah.
people,
Yeah.
the thing people are doing, they're taking everything. So you've got
Got
little,
the worms, yeah.
little baby worms like that, and they're also doing it at the wrong time of year. So you'll go down there early in the year, like, I don't know, February, March, April, and you'll go pumping, not even January, you'll go pumping and you'll pump a worm. And what I'll do, if I'll pump a couple of worms, and when you pump them and pump them back onto the sand, and that is,
Milky sort of thing.
yeah, we know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Just I'll stop pumping and I'll go.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
leave
yeah.
it because
Leave them
that's the
reproduce.
time of year
Yeah.
when you're going to rebuild the bed, the
Yeah.
worm bed.
Yeah.
But people don't because people want it all year.
Yeah.
And there's people going down
Greed,
there
yeah.
hammering
It is
it.
greed,
Yeah,
yeah.
A lot of that's
Um,
for profit for them as well, isn't it?
And I mean, no disrespect to any bait digger anywhere,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I know
yeah, you've
loads of
gotta
them.
do it.
But like, you know, I mean, how much tax they paid in the last 20 years?
We're not going down
I don't
that.
know the next question.
It's not good.
Mr. Taxman will be on the beach waiting.
Well,
We'll leave
You
him
just
there.
ruined it for everyone in Anglesey.
so funnily enough, that's another thing that's in the works now. Certainly
Yeah,
on
I've
the
seen
Kent
this.
coast,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it's going to be you're going to be licensed and you're going to be limited to numbers as you can take,
Yep.
which I completely agree with. It needs far
Yeah.
more regulation than what it
Well,
has
there'll
at
be
the
none.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
first play again. That them referring to that video you had, you literally took what you had, and then I watched
Yeah,
you
that's
walk
it.
back down and put them back.
I'll put them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put them back after.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think that's it. So you literally took like a dozen worms.
I was like, that's
And
enough.
one back,
15 minutes. Only need that.
And, you see, and it is easy to get carried away though
It
when you're
is,
digging
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
addictive as well
It
when you're
is
pumping.
addictive.
Yeah.
I've always
Yeah.
said it to some people and they don't get it. It's like sometimes I will go digging just for sake of going digging. Might not even have to go. I just enjoy digging.
Just want to dig
Yeah.
like yeah.
Probably because I'm not very good at fishing. So
Supply the
I'm
bait.
getting a big one. I remember actually putting a picture on my Facebook of me with a big ragworm, like I'm going PB, and I was like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, yeah, more attention than me with a decent fish. But yeah, it's rewarding. But yeah, definitely going back to that.
And
I
we
think
don't get the size we used to.
fresh bit. No.
Well, have you noticed the worms aren't as big as they used to be?
No.
They're not, no.
No.
So is that
No.
just because of over pumping, basically?
Yeah,
'Cause there's not as many
it's
fish there now.
over digging, over pumping.
Yeah, so they're just
and-
about breeding, aren't they? And catching up with the cycle sort of thing.
I don't know. We're kind of this is for YouTube, but that's YouTube has its
Yeah.
its
Yeah.
core
Yeah,
stuff.
it's-
It's got a
yeah.
negative effect YouTube
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's good
certain-
and bad. But
It's
yeah,
good
yeah.
and bad, yeah.
Yeah, in that sense, possibly.
I
I'd
think
say it's
people
fishing in
need.
general as well, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
there's a lot of fishermen out there now, and it's one of the
There
go-to
is.
baits in it.
yeah,
If anyone can pick a bait, it's going to
It
be
is, yeah, and again,
going to be lugworm on most beaches, isn't
Yeah.
it? You know.
yeah.
yeah. I think
people money's tight as well. If you can go and dig some and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't know to backfill, you don't know to.
Oh, that
Yeah.
reminds me of that.
It's-
There's people not filling their holes in.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
Guarantee I'll
it's
fall down it.
it's seeing
Bad
half
times,
the
so.
picture with a YouTube video, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Often,
yeah.
And that's not a dig at any individual. Like you see them going out, pumping a load of worms, digging a load of rag, and I go, oh, digging at so and so mark, or I'm pumping at so and so mark, and people just go down there thinking it's easy,
Yeah, the hundreds
and they'll
there.
not necessarily even get the worms, but they'll just wreck the mark.
Correct.
Yeah.
They'll dig it up and they'll leave stuff everywhere, and when they're pumping, they'll just pump 300 worm tails, and,
Yeah.
and they'll get 4
Yeah.
worms.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll smash them in half, like straight through
Yeah.
them. And
Sounds like mine.
Yeah, it's-
pumping on Fleetwood.
and I've got no problem. Like, I love the fact that people go and get
Go
their
out
own
and do
bait.
it,
Like,
like,
I
yeah.
love it. That's incredible. That's all part of.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the whole thing, isn't it? It's the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So going out, being able to go and collect your own bait, but
Yeah.
I think there needs to be. I don't really watch any YouTube at all. I think there needs to be better information out there about how to maintain the worm beds.
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
It's a good
Like-
topic.
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe
Yeah.
you might watch a video then if one of us does one of them.
Yeah,
and
that's
explains
it, yeah.
You might watch
Yeah,
a
you might watch some
video.
YouTube then.
We'll have you on the video
Still won't
talking
watch
about
it.
it.
Yeah. No, absolutely fair play. But yeah, definitely going back to it, I think fresh.
Fresh is
Fresh
always
is
best.
best.
Yeah.
Wild,
You can get hold
fresh.
of it,
Now on the bait
Exactly.
topic, what would you say? What would be your best bait, or if you had a bait, like you could choose one bait
For
to
the
target
next year.
anything for the next year, what would it be?
Oh.
Ragworm.
Ragworm.
It's just a good all-round bait.
yeah. It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Around here, it is.
There's not many fish certainly around here that won't take a ragworm.
Yeah.
I've had a 12-pound conger on a size 6 with that much ragworm on it. Ragworm for me.
I think I'd go squid because I've had bass, hounds,
As long as it's not tandoori squid.
congers, or something.
I
Everything
don't
on the
knock the
squid.
tandoori squid.
Yeah.
Like your
That's
tandoori
good.
squid, remember that?
Well, mine, to
Was
be
it
fair,
jam? Was it
would have to be
next
the
one?
jammy
Yeah.
Mackie. The jammy Mackie it would have to be.
Yeah, I saw them as well.
And it caught.
Took me
You did?
2 weeks
You
to
wanna see what I was
realise.
fishing
Yeah,
with?
I saw it. I saw the video.
No, you
Took
want
me
to see
to
what I was
realise.
fishing with tonight? A jelly top.
He was fishing with a jelly top tonight.
Did you catch?
Well, I had a bite.
It was me.
That was the rest of the
Well,
packet.
which hook was it?
That was the rest
No,
of the
that was
packet.
just for a joke. But
Yeah.
like I said, we did that video, didn't we? We were just like,
Honestly.
it's just about being different. That, and yeah, we dumped that
Do you know
Mackie
what?
in that
When I
jam,
was,
and
when
it
I
went.
was fishing with Jam, he was fishing next to me with exactly the same baits and rigs.
Everyone's
And
talking
I was
about
having
Yeah.
bites every cast, and you wasn't.
It
No.
was the
It
jam.
was like that.
it. It was the jam. I'm telling you, it was the jam.
Yeah.
Don't
I can't
knock it till
believe
you
they're
try it.
fishing with
Jam,
tandoori
it's a
bloody
tan-
squid.
I remember seeing that video and I thought, tandoori squid, is he doing a catch a cook? I thought he was doing
Why has he got these ingots?
I thought you were doing a bloody catch and cook.
It's all about
What's
having a
your
laugh,
bait?
isn't it?
What's your go-to bait?
I would say around here, rag and crab, yeah.
One.
Oh, one.
One.
Crag.
You had to pick a bait for the rest of your life.
Have you tried the tandoori squid yet?
I tried cooking it.
Oh, I tried cooking it. Well, next time, take a piece with you.
No.
Dogfish, love
We
it.
won't tell anyone.
Don't look like anything.
If you'd have to say, what would your go-to bait be? Sorry, Vince.
Oh, it's so
Tricky.
difficult.
Yeah, it is hard, that.
Like real difficult. I think if I had to pick one bait to fish with for the rest of my life, I think it'd be Mackie.
That's what
You're
I
a
was
big
gonna
fish
say.
angler, aren't you? You're a
Because, well, so the thing is,
Mackie.
so you can catch
bass, double-figure
dabs,
bass.
plaice,
Yeah.
turbot,
Found it.
Don't
catch
forget that,
all
yeah.
the flatfish.
You can pretty much catch
You
them
can
all.
put a
That's
belly
easy
strip
one to
on.
catch.
You could put a belly
Green.
strip on, a little fly rod or a little lure rod,
Yeah.
catch a mullet with it.
Yeah.
You can put a great big honking bait on, wank it out for a tope or a skate or.
Conger,
Yeah.
But there
anything.
isn't
No.
anything that doesn't eat mackerel.
True.
Not
Yeah,
a
yeah.
thing.
You
But
can
Maybe,
say
yeah.
the same about...
Yeah,
you
John
I
doesn't
don't eat it.
can say the same about your
fishy,
squid as
bait.
well, they'll eat...
Anything will
pretty
eat a squid, won't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost the same as a squid. Like it was a toss up between the
Yeah.
two, but I think Mackie purely because of the oily, scentless
Yeah,
sweetness to it.
That's what
And-
I'd say.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah.
If you had to say, pound for pound, the best fighting fish in the UK, pound for pound.
That we'd caught.
It's obviously got to be is
No, we go the other way
skating
round.
it.
No, we go the other way round.
I think wrasse fight really hard for the size. Like I've had a couple that big on a light rod, and you are
Yeah.
like obviously if they grew that big,
Yeah.
I don't think you'd get one in
Yeah, you would.
because
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
they
When
absolutely
they go
smash
down,
you.
Yeah, incredible fight.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, for
The
pound
first
for pound.
third of the fight of a wrasse is
Yeah,
is
you
all
just like
down,
that,
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
"Wah!"
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
down, isn't it?
I don't know. For me, I'd probably have to say you could go taupe or something like, but I'd probably say a smoothie.
I'd say
Pound
Because
down.
when they,
100%.
especially if
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
flow, and if they hit that flow, so
oh yeah, they're going off like rockets.
I
aren't they?
describe like a smoothie similar, say again, going to course fishing is like a barbel. When they hit that flow, there's just sometimes it's just no
Can't stop
stopping.
them, can you?
You get the first couple of big runs, it's like whoa, do you know what I mean? You know that you've got a fish on. It's
I'll tell you what, the smoothie bites are the best.
oh
I
brilliant.
remember when I was
they're
there
not
with-
forgiving, are they? They're going, yeah.
I was down on North Shore, Llandudno last year when Sarah's lad Caden had that double figure
Yeah,
hound.
that's right,
We didn't weigh, but it was clearly a
Yeah,
double.
yeah.
I was fishing, I don't know, 50, 60 yards on I don't know if we had a squid or a crab on. And the rod went over, lifted up, and it was shooting down the beach. The rod,
Yeah.
we've literally grabbed it, and then he's had it on, and I'm holding the back of him like that. Like,
Yeah.
I reckon it was a double,
Oh,
maybe
they
10,
go,
11.
Yeah, would
Yeah,
it be?
they go.
And I was holding him like that. I was
Yeah.
like, Jesus, has he got a taupe? Has he got some
Yeah.
a seal? And what's he got on there?
Yeah, they go, don't
Yeah.
they?
You know, and saying that as well, if you get a decent black bream, they
Yeah,
I've never
I was
had one of
thinking
them.
that, yeah.
easy as well.
But
There you
not
go.
on
Not on the shore
not
so
on your
much.
normal beach gear.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
you're
agree
talking
with
about
that.
lights here.
But-
Light stuff.
So
Yeah.
as far as for me, as far as if I was fishing on a beach with my normal beach gear, it would have to be a hound.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
had
yeah.
them just shy of £20,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
They
like
go
a
away.
It's mad, isn't it?
£20
Even when you look at the tails of them, they're like they're
built
quite
for-
long, aren't
yeah,
they,
yeah.
sort of thing, but they're not a big
Yeah.
paddle of a tail.
Yeah.
A £20 hound will outfight a £20 tape all day
Yeah,
long.
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that,
By a stretch.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it is so,
I'll
so
tell you,
fun.
actually, when I went out to, is it Sam Badrick with on MB Outdoors' boat, and there was Mike Stewart's, a few other boats out that day, because it's so shallow over the reef, you're like 11, 12 mile out, the taupe have got nowhere to go except from out.
Yeah.
So that is the only exception. Taupe in shallow water is absolutely
That's
nuts.
a point
Yeah.
that I was saying to you.
Yeah.
I was saying, I can't remember what I was saying. But anyway, I was saying earlier about, like, I've caught loads and loads of tape off the rocks.
Yeah.
And you're using big gear, 8-ounce plus
Yeah.
leads, £100 leader. And if you get a tote run and it's £20, £30, you can wire down on it, you can
The job
hang
is
on
just
it,
to keep it
and
on,
you're
yeah,
just
it's
hanging on
coming
it.
in, yeah.
Like, there's no, it doesn't scream off.
Yeah.
They do an initial run,
Yeah.
but it's not like they just go. Rah, rah.
Eventually, it's coming in. Just
If you
heavy,
get a-
aren't they?
A 15, £20 hound or a 15, £20 taupe on
Yeah.
the beach,
Mm.
like on a normal
Shallow, yeah.
shingle
Yeah, yeah.
beach, sand beach, it is a different
Yeah.
world.
Well done, yeah.
This
It
is
is
a
incredible.
thing now. Now you've mentioned that from, like you said, you had them off the rocks and the beaches. Do you
Yeah.
think? Well, I definitely don't want to upset anybody here. That a fish from the shore is more rewarding than a fish from a boat.
No, not necessarily.
As a general
From a
rule,
boat,
I'd say so,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's from a boat.
And I'm saying, I definitely
I'd say
don't
as a
want
gen-
to.
No, as a general rule, yeah. I think with a boat that you've seen the technology you can have on a boat, mine's quite basic in comparison to some.
'Cause-
You've got stuff, I know you can use navionics from the shore, but you've got sonars, you've got GPS, you've got plotters.
From the shore, you've
got-
literally got 200 yards all the way around the coast.
Yeah,
You can't
and-
fish nowhere
And
else,
as
can
well,
you?
if you've trekked down to a mark, or you were talking about some of the marks you go down to, like, I've got like a 5-minute maximum. If it's more than 5 minutes, I'm not going. You can ask him. If you've committed to that mark for the day and you've walked down with all your gear, you're stuck on that mark. If there's, you know what I mean, if you're in a boat, I can do a few miles in a few minutes. I can be at the other end of Holyhead.
Yeah. So
Whereas, you're
I think-
chasing.
a £20 tape off the shore will fight
Yeah.
harder than a 35, 40 off the rocks.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because you're.
Yeah.
Well, it won't,
Off the
sorry,
boat,
no,
you mean?
it
Yeah,
won't
off the
fight
boat,
harder. But you've got such
You've
light
got less
gear.
chance
You've
of
got
landing
6
it, yeah.
ounce leads. Like, so if I was
Yeah.
fishing with tape, like off a shingle beach or a sandy beach,
Yeah.
be a 6 ounce lead, £80, £70 leader, probably maybe
Yeah.
80. But you're on the rocks or a boat, you've got £100 and you're just
Yeah.
winching on it.
Winch.
Whereas
Yeah.
I
From
use
the beach,
Savage
like-
Gear SGS 400-gram jigging rods or the Conflict, because you're right.
Yeah.
Though, you're fishing for taupe hounds. You're over sand usually on a boat.
Yeah.
You're at anchor. Your biggest risk is it spitting the hook or
Yeah.
biting through.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
going to lose it to a rock.
No.
But yeah, definitely more rewarding.
More rewarding, yeah.
It does. I know we're using taupe as an example because it is what a lot of people around here. There isn't much more you can get than a short caught taupe, is it?
Yeah.
Around,
Yeah, yeah.
we're
Short
talking
caught taupe
intermediate.
is, yeah.
Yeah,
Like if you talk a big double figure rate, like
Yeah, yeah.
if you've
Oh,
had a
yeah.
big double figure rate on, like a small eyed,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
a Thorny, a
Thorny will
blonde,
go for it.
they skirt
They'll
off,
fly,
they
yeah.
go left,
Yeah,
right,
they
they'll
do, yeah.
take
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
Whereas
yeah,
on
line,
a boat,
and they'll
you're pulling
snuffle
them
their
up.
noses.
It's
Yeah.
not. But yeah, 100% short caught
And
taupe.
yeah.
It's the rewarding feeling. I remember my first one, Barmouth.
Barmouth, yeah, that
It was
was
no disguise, and it's Barmouth.
Yeah.
It was from fishing from my car at
Yeah.
midnight, and it was just and I
Chaos.
lost the first one to the groins on the end.
Yeah. I blanked there the other day.
Yeah. 5 minutes later, I had another one on, and I've genuinely caught probably hundreds of taupe at this point. I had a good year on them last year. It's where I got fed up of them. But yeah,
You
that
do-
one was I'll remember that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Need
Did
you to
have
get
that?
one,
It's- yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like gear, I fish really light. I fish as light as I can get away with in all my fishing, not just
Yeah.
my boat fishing. Because the way I see it is, you might go to a mark round here and you're lucky if you get 2 runs, 3 runs, and you land one.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
every single bit of fun and sport I can,
It's like-
without putting the fish under undue pressure and stress. I don't want to battle it in with winches and
Yeah.
I want
It's
to
like
fight
bullying.
with it. Yeah.
It's like bullying a fish, and
Yeah.
you've got big
So-
heavy setups. It's just like they're coming in,
Yeah.
but
It's the same,
I've
like you're
definitely
saying,
got
you
so
know,
light this year.
When you
a ray
Yeah.
off the beach is just, whoa,
Yeah.
something else different than when you get off the
Yeah.
rocks. Then.
Yeah, so
Completely
different.
different.
Just
We-
a different
We
fish.
had one last week, Kaiden, again, Sarah's lad again, who had that big out. He's doing well, Kaiden.
Yeah.
He had that one in the
You
Mersey.
molded a good angle
And
there.
he hit it, and it's gone downstream. Obviously, the
They're
Mersey's
great.
got crazy currents anyway,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
was just
I've seen that one, yeah.
absolutely. I had one which I dropped. I don't even think it was a big ray, but it was just going.
But that's the thing.
Big lump of seaweed.
Big lump of
People
seaweed.
often underestimate the fish, don't they? They think
Yeah.
fish are a bit
Yeah,
dumb,
yeah.
they're a bit stupid,
Yeah, yeah.
but a fish will do everything
To
it
get
can.
away.
It'll
Yeah.
hang in that tide, it'll
Yeah.
stick its nose in.
They'll do
it'll
whatever
just
they
fight
can.
or
everything it
survive,
can to
really,
get
isn't
away.
it?
It knows as
Yeah.
it's getting shallower, yeah.
Yeah.
As the light starts getting, they know that that's not good.
That's
You
when they
know,
start
Yeah.
shaking.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Feel like us being dragged down the beach into the water. So the closer you get into the shore, the more you're.
Yeah, you're more. You're
yeah,
like, no, I'm
yeah,
not
you're
having that.
I ain't
No.
going in there. Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
Especially not the Mersey.
Not the Mersey.
No.
Yeah, you'd.
You just got
Yeah.
John hanging over the edge.
Yeah, you won't be coming up there, would you? But yeah, definitely. But yeah, I fish from the shores definitely would worth more
More
than that.
rewarding.
Yeah, I think one from the shore is worth more
Yeah.
from the boat.
Yeah.
Not dissing anything to do with boat.
No,
I just think
no,
it's more
actually, yeah.
rewarding. I just
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is. From someone who prefers boat fishing, I'd take that the easy option
Yeah, yeah.
over.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been an interesting one, hasn't it?
It has. I think we're gonna have to leave it there. We've probably done another half hour. How long have we done, Rob?
Oh, he's not clock watching.
Looking.
Rob's online looking for electric bait pumps.
He's still looking for these.
Time has gone.
I'm just looking at these mics, waiting for them
He's
to
been
like.
sketching away. He's designing one along
We've
with
still, we've still got batteries.
mechanical bait firing
Yeah,
device.
very good.
Yeah, still going.
What day is it?
June.
So should we end it? Well, I think we're gonna have to have another because there's too much to go
100%.
around.
I think
Maybe
so.
next
There's-
month.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
try
there's
and
a
get-
lot to
Need
talk
for that.
about. And
Yeah, you
absolutely,
could talk
yeah.
about one topic for an hour.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm not
And there's
going to
hundreds of
keep
topics.
Buffet first.
He's sweating his eyes.
I'm
out.
literally
As long as we've got the
blowing
chaos
me
out the
box
way
out.
on this one, because it's a bit chaotic, but
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's the first one.
It's so cool. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
there's people. Because when you sit here and people are throwing ideas at each other, 'cause
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
we do,
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's like I picked
Like-
something from you
Yeah,
tonight about
it's
Yeah,
so
storms
cool.
and stuff, and
yeah.
like
so
before
cool.
that storm, I'll have that in my head now. It's like
Yeah.
Every
Yeah,
day's a
I'll
school day.
remember that now. I'm thinking, oh, if there's a
So
storm
when
coming.
these two
That's it now, yeah.
nupties get blown off Molly Don because they've gone at the wrong times, yeah.
You went, this is fault.
Just look for a big pressure drop. Big
Yeah.
pressure drop. That's what
Big
you're looking
drop,
for. And you'll see every time for a storm goes in, there'll be a big pressure drop. That's the
it's a
one.
good one. That
No, we'll end it there.
Key.
So,
Yeah.
do you want to
Thanks,
shout
John.
shout your YouTube channels out, lads? We got That's a Bite.
go and subscribe, please, if you can do. I am on a big push. 11,500 now, but I'd like to try. Yeah, to get up there in digits. But if I can pick a few of you bunch, if you can follow my channel, I am a bit different. I do, I do try to be serious with my angling. You know, show you different rigs and stuff. But I also try to have a laugh as well. And I think that's a good thing about my channel. And you should enjoy it.
Yeah.
This guy,
KNP Outdoors.
he's a reprobate.
Well, I've got my own YouTube channel. The one I'm going to plug now is the Bluefin YouTube channel, which we've just
Yeah,
started.
it's the bluefin one.
And we're doing it as a bit of a collaboration with Bluefin and a few other people. It is a brand new channel. But Rob's got a couple of videos on there already.
And he's a natural on the camera.
He is
I'll
a
say
natural on the
that now.
camera.
You
He's
are
got a face
natural.
for radio, but he's good on the yeah. But yeah, have a look at the Bluefin YouTube channel.
Hit that
That's
subscribe
good.
button.
Yeah, hit the subscribe button on that one. Don't bother with mine. I swear quite a lot.
Right,
Mr.
so-
Anglesey Tight Lines.
Anglesey Tight Lines, guys. Yeah, I'm again love to get up those numbers as well. Seem to be stuck in the 3000s for a long time now.
Well, you're still doing all right, mate.
Get up there. And don't forget the match in August. I'll put everything on socials now, Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of thing, guys. So get your entries in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
and Vince.
I'm only really on Facebook, so check me out, Vince Knight on Facebook. There's a lot on there, fishing wise, because I'm fishing pretty much every day. But so yeah, going forward, there's going to be a channel. I'm going to be doing a few bits with Bluefin. So yeah, look out for a YouTube channel. But yeah, yeah, let's go.
We'll all have to go and have a fish with Vince.
Cheers,
as well.
lads.
Yeah.
Spot
Hands
on.
in. And cheers for Robert Bluefin for hosting us.
Legend. I'll go put my head in the sink.
Oh, thank you.
Ta-ra for now. Bye-bye.